All right, welcome everybody. Let's go. So we're going to talk about, as busy docs, how can we stay connected to people that can help us, what we call career craft? How can we keep going in medicine, keep learning, keep it fresh, keep it exciting? If we have ideas, things we want to move forward, how do we find the people to help us? How do we find the space to even think about new things? Because one thing that happens in medical school is, we just don't take the time to learn these essential skills of career development. How do we learn how to move forward in our careers? We learn how to be a doctor. We learn so many things. Medical school is so full of so many things, right? So my friend's daughter is just starting. She's in her first week and she can't believe the volume. And that's what I remember about medical school. It's just the volume of information, processing all those thoughts and ideas and just volume. In the old days, it was paper, but thank goodness it's not all paper. But we would have just tons of notes, take notes for each other, share notes, go over notes, hours and hours of stuff. So, what we have not learned a lot of times, maybe you have. If you have, put it in the comments where you learned your career development skills. How do you craft your career? Now, I love crafting. I love a good craft night. I love a good craft party. So why can't we think of our career development like that? Like having friends over, doing it together, thinking about it in unique ways, thinking about what we like what sounds good, what sounds exciting, what sounds interesting to make. We don't know how it's going to go. We don't know the outcome, but we're going to take a chance and build something. So this video, we're going to go over this is for women doctors, 4 ways to feel lighter and more supported because we don't learn these essential skills when we're trying to navigate like how to be a doctor, how to keep growing. Maybe you're in your first year, your fifth year, your 10th year, your 34th year. How do you do it? Like, how do you keep it exciting? Well, there are ways, and I like to share these here in Brain Fresh. But we just don't, there are essential skills we don't learn in medical school because there's so many other things to learn in medical school. So let's do it together. We're going to talk about 4 ways women doctors can feel lighter and feel supported along their career journey because it's like up, down, over, twist, turn, little this, little that. Or maybe you feel like it should just be an escalator up. That's what my understanding was. Like you finish medical school, residency, I did a fellowship, then you get on an escalator and you just go. Maybe like those walkways you see in the airports, you just get on them and you go. You don't have to plan anything or learn anything. That's not true, right? We have to know what are our values, what's important to us now, what problems are we noticing, because that probably shows your gifts and strengths because you're noticing particular problems. Where do we want to advocate for our patients and their families? How do we want to make a difference in this world? What is meaningful to us right now? What is our purpose? What is our why? They say we have to figure that out. What is our why? There's books that go, from Holocaust survivors. Ellie Weitzel said, we have to know your why. You can make it through anything if you know why you're doing something. But do we ever take time to realize why are we doing this? Why are we working hard? Why are we on call? Why do we take this time to do it? These are the essential skills that I didn't learn in medical school. So I had to go find them in different industries and put them together and build a neuroscience-based framework so you can career craft. You can craft the career that is interesting to you. And that may look different over time, just like any craft would. It may change over time, right? So let's go over these 4 ways. Within this summer connection challenge, we're talking about focusing because we can't do everything. So we have to know what is our focus right now. And I like this. I love this book called The 12-Week Year. And in that, you obviously, it's what it says is you plan your 12 weeks as opposed to a year. Because when we say, oh, this year I don't know, get better at X, Y, or Z. Um, how are we going to do that? Like, what does that look like? What steps do we need to take? What's the strategy? What are the tactics? The little things we're going to do, the nano actions we're going to take to get towards that goal. Well, if you plan a year, it gets real fuzzy after like a week or two. So this book, this 12-week year, it's just you plan your 12 weeks. I just did it. I have it in my binder right here. I just did my next 12 weeks. I do one little thing each week towards these goals. I like to have 3 buckets of goals and get closer to the goals. And it works. And when I'm not doing it, I feel like I'm floundering a little bit. I feel like I'm like, what am I supposed to be doing this week? But I like the plan. I like the strategy. I like the tactics. It's a tight plan. 12-week year, the 12-week year. Highly recommend that book. Okay. So, how are we feeling lighter? How are we feeling supported? We're number one. We're going to build these tiny connections. Okay. And why does it matter? Why do we care about this stuff? Well, we want to leave an impact. We want to make sure what we're doing matters to somebody, that what we're taking action toward, why we're on call all night, why we spend these hours learning these things, that it matters for something, right? Like it makes me think of this family that I cared for when I was a resident. And I didn't do a lot of pediatrics in my training, but we had to do so many months. And this family had a gene that increased their risk of having cancer. So when we took like their family tree or their family history, oh my gosh, so many different cancers because of a gene that they had. I don't remember what it was now, but so I was caring for their little boy. He was 11, sweetest thing. And he knew he was really sick because the parents were like, you can have whatever you want for breakfast. You can have whatever you want. And he knew like they were acting differently and he knew he was really sick. And he had unfortunately Mets to his brain. And I would ask him, like, I would joke around with him and keep it light. Like, how many TVs are you seeing? Are you seeing two TVs, 10 TVs, or 24 TVs? So we were trying to see if he was having double vision, if we needed to adjust his steroid dose or whatever we were working on. And the mom was like, I hope you keep working with kids. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, I'm an adult neurology resident. I'm going to work with adults. She's like, I just hope some way you work with kids. It gives me chills thinking about it because that was not my plan. I did not have a plan to work with kids. This young boy, she's like, I hope in his memory, because you're really good with kids. I ended up having four kids, and I do love being around kids, but I didn't want to work with kids because I do love being with kids, and it's hard to be objective when they're cute and little. And I was always amazed by the pediatric residents and the pediatric neurology residents that they could do that work. It's tough work. So that mom said, I hope in his memory and his legacy that you keep working with kids. Um, we presented him in the grand rounds. We talked about him because of this genetic condition the family had. So we all learned a lot from them. So I think that would, that his memory lives on, his legacy lives on with that. But then I ended up helping our pediatric neurologist team treat multiple sclerosis. And then I ended up leading our pediatric MS center. So I do think, it's interesting how things come into your life, people come into your lives, or ideas. And this is where career crafting comes to mind. As I did not intentionally go in to be a pediatric doctor, but I ended up working with a lot of pediatric patients, especially as they got closer to their adult years, like teens and things, and working with the pediatric neurologist to help those kids. So in the end, the mom had her wish, and I did work with kids. And I'm honored, to think of that child. I think of him regularly, actually, because his legacy lives on. And I learned from him, and I just learned the fortitude of that family, and was just so impressed with their value-based care. They showed that son. They did everything for that son, and showed him so much love and care. And so you just never know what your why is. Sometimes it is there for you, and you have to grab and run with it, or sometimes it's set up, but you intentionally, make it happen. So this is something I didn't have a plan toward, but it did happen in the end. That's why I'm grateful for those people that supported me and my own impact that I can have in my career. So we're here to think about, what do connections have to do with career crafting, with figuring out where our career is developing, because these are essential skills. At least I did not learn in medical school. And you put yes or no in the video if you learned them, in the comment section if you learned them in medical school. I did have a resident who did have business classes in his medical school, which I think was really awesome. So he knew some of this professional development. They taught it, and they taught basic finance and marketing, and because it matters, healthcare is a business. So it's nice if we speak the language of those that are, directing us at work. So it's pretty neat that some medical schools are doing this now. Okay, so we're here to focus, support, so we can have impact, right? And I do run a free, Fresh Path MD. So this is our master class, our community for women docs. So thanks for being here and being part of our community. And I'm glad you could listen to the recording if you were busy today. And I understand that you can't always make it to our master classes. So today we think of like, what are the goals? And I think the goal is to feel lighter and to feel supported so you can live fully in your gifts and strengths. And we can learn these skills we don't learn in medical school, which are career development skills, career crafting skills, if you want to call it that. I like that because I like to craft. And we think about like, yeah, what are their challenges right now towards this? Well, it's time, money, focus. We don't have these things. We don't have any time. We're busy. We don't have any focus towards this because we have our mind on other things. And who has the money? Who has extra money sitting around to build your career? Well, I decided that I'm the one that's going to develop my own career. So I started putting money toward developing my career, my own money. Sometimes my employer pays for some of my career development, but mostly I took the reins because I thought, well, this is important to me. Like I helped myself get into medical school. I studied, I helped myself get into a residency. Like I've always driven my career development. So I'm not going to stop now because I want my life filled with what's important to me. I want a career craft, career develop according to what's important to me. And so we're going to talk about micro actions in our challenges here in Fresh Path. I like to do tiny actions that can have a big difference, that kind of change the trajectory, craft the career you want, just realize how can we get over the current challenges toward putting more lightheartedness in our lives, more focus into our lives, more support, so we can leave an impact. Okay. So we're here to dive into these hidden strategies to beat distraction, isolation, and just the feeling like it just doesn't matter. Like work is meaningless. It's just tasks. They don't have any meaning to them. Okay. So it's okay if you're here and you're tired, and you want to leave informed and renewed. That's okay. In this challenge, I would suspect that you probably need about 10 minutes a week to do these. And then each week has a little video. Totally over the month, the videos are only 34 minutes in total. Or we just use this masterclass if that's what you have. That's the time you have. Okay, so let's go. So what we did the first week, we realized that these really tiny nano actions, tiny connections really matter. Why? Because when I read this literature, what was really interesting to me is if we have conversations that are supportive with people, even if they're short and small and quick, they give us more energy. They are renewing. At work, if you're working with patients, clients, you're working with your administrative team, you're giving a lot, you're giving ideas, you're giving solutions. Those are not renewing conversations. But if this is one that is emotionally supportive, we actually get our tank filled, right? And so we get more energy in these. So it's really neat to think about these small moments. So the first week we thought about small moments of connection to help us feel encouraged, supported, and less alone, less isolated. Because I hear a lot when new staff, when they give me feedback, how's it going? They're like, it's just so isolating. Like there's nowhere to connect with people. You're just like going to room, seeing patients. And when do you connect with people? Well, this is where we need to be intentional, right? So how can we do it? We could talk about this checklist. You could do, get your phone, get it out. It's like maybe a quick text, like, hey, thinking of you, or thinking about, how you said your mom's having that surgery, or, that it was a tough time, or you have that meeting coming up with your boss you're, a little worried about. Here's a podcast. Sometimes I send people, so my love language is giving people resources to help them feel brighter. And I like to do that with neuroscience actions. I like to do that with any kind of resource. So I love like giving resources out to people. So I had a young staff recently reach out to me and she was like, I have this meeting with my boss. What can I do? I was like, I love this podcast called Radical Candor, because it's like very practical situations that happen at work. And that again, we don't learn these essential skills. Like how can you be successful in a team? How could you help your team? I just gave a lecture to leaders in development and at work on, using neuroscience related tools for a sustainable, creative team. How many are on a team that just is like, just kind of making it, staying the same? Because we can lose momentum in groups. Like, how do we get the new energy in a team? How do we sustain a team? How do we talk about well-being and wellness on a team so that people can get to the creativity level? We have to meet basic needs before we can ask people to be creative. And so I give lectures on this, on the neuroscience, the neuro leadership of teams and sustainable teams. You could leave a voice memo for a friend. You could leave a joke. You could sit and listen to a few jokes and share some good ones with your friends. You could share a silly phone picture. Sometimes I take pictures on my walk of just beautiful nature pictures and send those. You could actually sit with somebody like, hey, you want to actually sit and have lunch rather than charting and typing during lunch. You could share a success story or a challenge you're having. You could be real with someone, somebody that you trust. You could reach out to somebody you haven't seen in a while. How are you doing? How are you feeling? As I'm sending this list, I'm thinking of a doc who told me she's pregnant when I saw her a little bit ago. So I'm going to reach out to her and just see how she's feeling. But just little things like this, just the humanness. Like I just learned one of my colleagues got married and I reached out to him and congratulated him. I saw it on Instagram. I didn't even know. So things like that, like the humanity of life, they're renewing, they feel good, right? And that's what we're after is it is okay to find tools to help us feel renewed. We need that. We absolutely need that. So these little micro nano connections, they really matter. So there's a video if you haven't seen this video or you need connections to this, I'll put this document in with this video, but all the videos are linked here. So you can decide maybe which one thing you want to think about one thing you're going to do this week. You can keep this list. This is a checklist you can keep, but I would have very small, well-contained goals so that you don't have to think about doing it all. Okay. So think of one thing you would do this week because you know why? It feels good to succeed. If you said, oh, I'm going to do 10 things this week, you're probably not, and then you're like, oh, I never did that thing. I never did that thing from Fresh Path. So now forget it. I'm never going to do anything. It's like we got to watch those stories we tell ourselves or why we're succeeding or why we're not succeeding. So give yourself an easy win. Say, I'm going to do one of these this week. So choose which one. Put it in the comments. Feel free. Um, and then, what's your best takeaway? What's surprising about this? Is like little things really matter. That shocks me. And it actually shocks me that I can have a conversation with a friend and I can feel more energetic. And so that's really important for me to remember because sometimes I think, oh, it's going to take too long. I'm not in the mood. I'm tired. I don't want to call that person. And that's, I got to watch these narrations, this story I'm telling myself, because actually it's the opposite. If I'm tired, I probably should call a good friend on the way home. I have a good commute, depending where I am. So I have time for a good chat. Okay. Week 2, what we focused on is focus and just realizing scrolling is super dangerous, right? Distracting is we feel unhappy when we're distracted. That's in a book from Dr. Sonia Lyubomirsky. So let's just admit it right now. The more we scroll, the less happy we feel. So if you want to get lost in social media for a while, I have to put a beginning and end to it because, the average screen time could be like 5 hours a day. When we say we don't have time for something, like I just have to look at my screen time and be like, let's be real. How much time could I knock off? Sometimes I'm listening to a book or a podcast when I'm exercising. So that time goes on there. Fine. Okay. But the rest, like one time I saw that my texting, it was like an hour and a half of texting in one day. And I don't even remember like anything really momentous happening that day, but it was just like my family and my kids checking in, which is all fine. Like I want to be connected with my kids. But I just want to be intentional. If I'm sharing my attention with someone, is it my priority for that day, for that week, for that moment, or is someone taking my attention? There is something called the attention economy. We are worth money. Our attention is worth money. So when they see me scrolling for an hour and a half on Instagram, Christmas reels on crafting reels from the dollar store, which has happened to me, um, that's money. So they can say, hey, I kept this person up for an hour and a half with this, so they get paid by certain sponsors, obviously Dollar Tree. So they're getting money from me and I'm not getting anything from them because I probably only got something from one of the reels that I remembered. So we have to be careful. So when you think of your attention, what are you giving your attention to? Who gets your attention? As soon as you wake up to when you go to bed, just be intentional about assessing that because that is gold, platinum, diamond. It is worth so much. It is really all we have, right? Is our attention and what we give our attention to. The attention economy, they want our attention. So just be intentional this week with your attention is who are we sharing it with? Who do we let have our attention for free? And because it takes it away from something else. And when we're distracted, the happiness expert, Dr. Lubomirsky, says we are unhappy. So we have to be careful that if we want meaning in our life, we have to be sure that we're giving our attention to something that matters. And that's where setting up, like in Fresh Path MD, I also have something with more detail called Fresh Path Experience. And this is where we set up our 12-week goal. We set up our three buckets. We set it up because we don't like leave it to chance of what is our plan for this week. We know it's important, even to the point where I sometimes coach women docs on rest because one doc, she had young kids and she's like, I want to be more intentional about rest. Another doc was getting her amazing integrative medicine certificate and doing so much work. And she was building, a little LLC, which is another thing I do is business coach women doc. So if you want to, think about where could I have another income stream, it's called, so you're a doctor, maybe I work part-time, so I have other income streams. Um, and then you have more flexibility because you have more income streams. And then you can do with your time what you want, right? So we want to focus on what's really important to us because that doc was trying to figure out like how to build her LLC when she was studying for her integrated medicine thing. So, we work on this. We set focus, we set our guidelines. We have our 12-week plan. It's like little stones crossing the river. Because we don't learn these essential skills. We don't learn career development in medical school. We have to learn them somewhere. So Fresh Path, we give a lot of them. We do these monthly challenges just to keep our focus, our support, our impact up, right? So, what are we doing this week? So, we are reducing our mental clutter, creating more meaningful moments of connection. We're locking out things that don't matter. We just forget it, right? So, watch the scrolling, replace maybe 10 minutes of scrolling with a conversation. If you can talk and drive, fine. Or you walk and drive, maybe I'm walk and talk, that's safer. Coffee with a friend, lunch with a friend, go outside, you have a walk with somebody, put your phone away. So a lot of times they'll say, I see people at dinner, their phone is right on the table. You put it away because it is distracting. Everyone's got their Apple Watch, they're distracted all the time. You talk to them and they keep looking at their arm. It's distraction, and so it's like if you want your cognitive load to be filled with things that are important to you, we have to drive that ship, right? We drive that boat, drive that semi, steer that boat, so we have to take control of it. We could laugh with someone, we could tell jokes, we could get away from work for a little bit. And then what is that energy list of people you want to think about being with this summer, or even in the fall and the winter? Who's your list that gives you energy? We want to be really intentional about this. So there's videos here. If you want that, it's on this checklist. Okay. So then we can pause. It's like, which interaction worked for you? Which one helped you feel more focused, more calm? How powerful was it to think about these things? Um, did it help you? Like, yeah, I really need to focus. It really helps me to have the 12-week goal and my three bucket goals. Because otherwise just feel floundery. Yeah, I'm just floundering without them. Okay, moving on to week 3. How do we sustain it? How do we sustain support? Because we want to leave an impact, right? And we can do anything once or twice, but we need to have a system that sustains us. That's where what Fresh Path Experience, this is the next level of Fresh Path. The Fresh Path Experience, it's 6 weeks. We really dive into this with more detail. Okay, there's a fee with that. So if you're interested, let me know. You want to jump on a call, you want to learn more about it, I'm glad to do that. Just send me a message at thebrainfresh@gmail.com, thebrainfresh@gmail.com. And then I could tell you more about Fresh Path Experience. So this week, we really want to think about strengthening dependable relationships that support your life and your leadership, your career development, your career crafting. It's okay to think about building something, you're crafting something, you're working with other people. It might not go well. All things will not go well. Things will go wrong. So how do you navigate that? Where do you find support? Maybe you call someone you haven't talked with in a long time. I'm so grateful. One of my friends, we had years that we didn't talk. We both were raising kids and there was nothing necessarily wrong, but we just kind of went our separate ways. And now, thank goodness, we're back talking. And she's been so supportive at really hard times in my life. And now she's going through hard times. So we're together again, like we're supporting each other again, which is amazing. So things will go through seasons. Like sometimes you have a lot of time to build your support system, and other times it's a busy season, no time. So that's why it's good on normal days to build your support system. Um, and maybe you need help with one thing. It's okay to ask for help. And it's also great to encourage somebody else, again, to start that wave of support. If you support somebody, somebody will support somebody. It'll come back to you over time, which is really cool. And you want to share honestly with somebody that you trust. And maybe you do a connection walk as well. Maybe you just go and or have lunch and connect with somebody. So there's a video with more detail if you like it. And who reminds you that you are supported right now? You're supported here in Fresh Path. We're a community, a growing community of women docs. We're small but mighty. But invite your friends in here. It's fine with me. You know, it's a free, there's a free level. I just want to have monthly challenges so we keep learning together in a kind, compassionate way. Because again, we do not learn these essential skills of career development or career crafting in medical school. So, how do we build that team? Where do we start if we don't even have one? We want to be focused, we want to be supportive, we want to put ourselves up into the best light to have an extraordinary impact in this world with our own gifts. So, what are we going to do? We're going to create an intentional support system for the months ahead when maybe there's two people you're going to stay connected with that you're really going to, share your goals. If we say our goals out loud, we're more than 20 to 40% that more likely to hit our goals. So just tell someone what you're thinking and have fun with people. You know, schedule something playful, schedule something away from work, because that is also building your support network. Maybe there's somebody you need support from. You can ask them, like, hey, I really could use some help with this. I heard a great advice the other day. It's like, I'm trying to learn how to speak up in meetings. So she asked, people in the meetings, like, will you give me feedback on how I'm interacting in meetings? Do I look like I know what I'm talking about in meetings? Any suggestions after the meetings? So she was very intentional on the feedback that she asked for, and I thought that was a really great way to start with that. Maybe there's a friend date on a calendar. You're going to call someone. You're going to go out and have a coffee. You're going to go play golf, go for a walk. You're going to walk your dogs together, anything together. Maybe you're going to have a craft day. I love building a craft party. And so just remind yourself, like, this is where you're building things. When things are actually going okay, is a great time to build your support team. Or if you have a dream, like, "Ugh, I really want to try to have more X, Y, and Z in my life. Then you're going to put yourself around more artists. Like there was a time I wanted to get more art into my life. So I was like, okay, I could go to a gallery once a month. I joined a pottery class and I've been doing that regularly. I just thought I can get closer to artists and I could go see art more. So there's things I can do to get closer, to put more art around me. And so, you could think about it. What kind of support is helping you thrive? What kind of support do you need to feel nourished? What kind of support do you need to help you thrive? Like you have some goals. You want to craft a career that is filled with maybe more research, maybe more national talks. Maybe you want to start to get some pharma talks. You want to build another income stream. Like, how can you get closer to things like towards your goal? That's what we do. I do coach women docs one-on-one, especially if they're thinking about a business or thinking about another income stream, because I have a certificate from a company called Hello Seven, and I teach a 7 level system to build your own business. And I like to do that because I needed that when I was building my own business. I built Brain Fresh. It's its own LLC, and it can help you with all the parts or help you get, obviously if you need a lawyer, an accountant, these we all need a team, again, a support team, depending on what we want to do. Like I said, maybe that one doc, she wanted to get more, another one I didn't tell you about, but I will now, is she wanted to get more beach chairs in her life. She wanted to get more beach time. Like she said, she was watching the people set out the beach chairs in the morning. She was like, I want that job. I want to be on the beach more often. So we talked about her, going more part-time. So she had more time to be in the beach and to take vacation and consider another income stream so she can do that with her family. So it's okay to craft a career trajectory or a career life that isn't like you just not getting on an escalator going on someone else's career. It's okay to think about what's important to you. We do that, in Fresh Path. That's why I built this. So we had a safe place to learn and kind of craft our career together. Okay. So Fresh Path Experience, that is the next level from this because Fresh Path MD has obviously a free level. You're welcome into that. It's for women docs. And we know now that connections matter. There's tiny moments really matter. Being intentional matters. Limiting our phone time matters. And building our support system really matters. Play is productive too. Play really helps to build friends and support systems. And it's a great neuroscience setting. We don't judge ourselves when we're playing. We're just having fun. We're usually moving. We're usually with other people. So play really matters. Good thing is coffee chats count too. Walks count as strategy or meetings. Encouragement can change people, which I think is really amazing. So hearing Angela Duckworth and talking about how people need grit. One thing that really mattered in people who she called that they had a high level of grit, they had encouragement from somebody. Somebody had told them they could do it. Somebody told them it was okay to try. Somebody told them to keep going. So, and sometimes it was themselves. Like they just encourage themselves to keep going and be intentional about this. And I had to start saying, hey, I'm a builder. I like building things. And that's why I built Fresh Path MD and I built Brain Fresh because building is exciting to me. It gets me thinking about solving problems. I like to see the strategy of it. So it's okay to say what you are, to say what gifts you have, and to encourage yourself or encourage others. Take that risk in a supportive way. You could be the support person for them. So believe it or not, just encouragement helps people find that grit to keep going. Focus grows in supportive environment. Focus is really important. And we were never, never meant to do this alone. We always, as humans, do better together, right? So Fresh Path Experience, it's 6 weeks. It's starting soon. We have weekly touch points. It's for women docs only. Um, why? Because I like to empower women docs to rediscover your vision, build meaningful bonds together, find that kind bravery that's needed to design a professional path, a personal life that really sparks joy for you. We learn those essential skills. We just don't learn in medical school because there's just not time. Okay. It's time to refocus, reconnect, create a future that excites you again. We're going to career craft. We're going to craft our future with and fill it with things that are important to us. You work so hard to become a doc. You care deeply about what you do. You've accomplished like unbelievable things only people can only dream of. But still, some people feel tired or disconnected, isolated, not sure what's next, feel stuck in a career sense. And many women docs, we don't need another productivity system. We need space to think. We need genuine compassion, a safe place to consider things. You need permission to dream again. So imagine waking up and being excited about the future instead of just getting through this week thinking like, oh, how am I going to get through this week? So that's why I built Fresh Path Experience. We could dive a little bit deeper than this experience, this masterclass. Okay. So come on in, check it out. I'd love to have you. The link's here. Together we'll use practical, simple, easy, quick neuroscience, supportive coaching. It's a group program in a community of women docs, truly understand your journey, help you reconnect with yourself and definitely design your next chapter. Career craft, right? It sounds easy. We're going to craft our career. This is for you, especially if you're successful, but you're just not feeling fulfilled with what you're doing day to day. You've lost that, like, you don't have that excitement at work that you're building something. You feel isolated, but you have people all around you. You're questioning, like, what really matters with what I do day to day? Is this all there is? You crave meaningful friendships with other women docs. And that's okay. A lot of times we just haven't put the energy toward building friendships. That's all right. I was at a meeting last fall, a wonderful meeting called Brave Enough, and there was a doc there who said she just didn't have friends. She didn't have any friends because she was raising her kids and she just didn't put time toward friends. So we were all at the table like, we'll be your friends. And so it's okay. Like that happens. There's times in life where you have more friends or less friends. It's okay to be intentional about building a new support network. And that's why, of course, that I built Fresh Path MD and built this special program called Fresh Path Experience. You know you're capable of more, but you're just not sure what the next step should be. So during this week, we're going to understand the neuroscience of stress, recovery, renewed motivation. That encouragement really, really matters and is needed. We're going to build authentic relationships. We're going to be real. I mean, things are not perfect. And, we all have personalities, et cetera, that, sometimes we like them, sometimes we don't, but we're going to stick with principles. We're going to think about our strengths, think about our values, and think about our vision for ourselves. Life is not perfect, and interacting with humans, we always have a conflict. We're going to develop courage and confidence to take meaningful action. And courage is going to come with action. Okay, so I should redo that sentence. We're going to take action to build courage and confidence because once our brain sees we can do something, it feels courageous. It doesn't feel courageous, sitting in your room thinking you might do this thing someday, but you don't know how you're going to do it. So we're going to develop clarity, stronger connections, renewed energy. Remember, we've talked a lot about how we build our energy. An action plan would do the 12-week thing. This is a 6-week program, but I'll share with all the things that really mattered. That because I like to go find resources and putting them in a meaningful framework for everybody and share them with you. So 6 weeks of live and recorded group coaching, neuroscience-based teaching, small group support, accountability, and a community. 45-minute session each week for 6 weeks. Like I said, live and recorded. So if you miss it, it's okay. One action step each week, one teeny. Okay. The investment is $14.97 right now. We're starting a new cohort, so that date isn't correct. Starting soon. It's not about adding more, but it's more about focus and support and impact today. What's important to you today? Because it can change over time, right? It's like, my focus has changed over the years. Depends where I am with my kids. My kids are now, in college and older. And so I have time. Different things are important to me right now than they were when I was, 32 and a new neurologist. Um, you deserve to know the best version of you, and we could do it together, right? And we're malleable. We can change, right? We can do this together. So this is within Fresh Path, but it's a special program. There is a fee to this. Okay, so here's some more videos if you'd like them, and I'll send this off to you. Guys, thanks for being here. I appreciate your attention and have a lovely, lovely day.